Yo, 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 yo. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Y'all come on in the chat. We going live. We talking about this Lindsay lady. Um, there's a phenomenon going on that I do not understand. Um, there are women out there, I guess they're championing this postpartum situation that unfortunately led to this young lady unaliving three children. So I guess women are standing in solidarity, supporting a woman that unalived three of her own children. Hmm. And I'm gonna try not to judge anybody because we don't want YouTube to think that we're here to judge anyone. We're here just to get the content and go over it and give our opinion. So let me first get to my disclaimer as y'all get on in here. Y'all know we do disclaimers around here. Disclaimer, disclaimer. Hold tight, buddy. We want to respect the rules. All right. Now that we got the disclaimer out the way, let's go over this Instagram video of women supporting, I guess, Lindsay in this type of way. So tell me what you guys think.
Where women throw water on their little children and abuse them. Is this what you guys are doing for likes? Validation? Oh, look, I'm struggling to manage my own child. Let me abuse them as well. You are all sick. Any of these people should have their kids taken away from them. Probably the greatest thing you can have in your life is raising a child. And now it's a social trend to abuse them. Feminism has warped women's brains so much that they think that abusing children for a social media trend is cool. So is this a new trend now, a new social trend where women throw water on?
All right. Tell me what you guys think. Is this abuse of a child? Is this just a trend? Is this cool? He's calling it abuse. I'll let you guys in the chat decide. We don't want to violate any terms of service. I'll tell you another live that I'm going to do on Patreon tonight.
Have we actually ruled out the possibility of demon possession here? Because I'm trying to find another explanation that makes sense. And postpartum issues and the struggles of motherhood just really aren't doing it for me. I mean, we have literally had women lining up outside of the courthouse and waving and cheering for Lindsay Clancy as she shows up for her murder trial. And then we've had women going, oh, I can totally identify with wanting to strangle your kids. Let me go chuck some ice in my shower and film it. And now it's just rage screaming like a psychopath. Ladies, get your bat crap crazy selves under control right now. This is embarrassing. You should be embarrassed. Your husband should be embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. If you truly think that you can identify with...
I'm going to stop off that last part because she says something that's against YouTube guidelines. So we want to respect YouTube. Gotcha. We definitely are going to play this off Nate the Lawyer. Shout out to Nate the Lawyer. We're going to go over some of his video. I think it's very interesting that so many people are identifying with this woman. This is like the biggest phenomenon in it's like the most viral acts about thing is, do you support this? There's women showing up to the courthouse rallying behind this woman as if she's some sort of hero. I was like, is this a real thing? At first I thought it was I'm like, this is a joke. But no, this is a real thing. The reporter showed up in pink to support her. They're wearing pink to support this woman. So I want to know from the people in the chat. I'm not here to judge anybody. Excuse me. I have never experienced postpartum, but we got to do something to protect the babies. So I want to know from the ladies in the chat, first of all, let me just say from the people in the chat, wink, wink, from the people in the chat, all inclusive. What do you guys think about, because I want to know everybody's perspective, man or woman, because if you got a child with somebody like this that's saying that they are supporting Lindsay, Clancy, or whatever her name is, and they feel like they could possibly hurt their kids, what would you do? As a man, what would you think? As a female, have you ever gone through postpartum, and has it ever made you think that way? And what did you do in order to help deal with your postpartum? Because I think that's important. So in the chat, I want people talking about this, saying what helped them, saying what are some of the things you can do to de-stress, and is it support from your counterpart or your partner? Like, how can we combat this thing? And what do the men, from your perspective, what do? Do you take your kids? Do you drive to a hotel and lock the room door? And you say, don't come here no more till you get over that? What do? We got to figure this out. All right, so let me play this video, and I hope y'all in the chat rumbling, because I'm over here chilling.
Intentional killing. So Lindsay Clancy was born August 11th, 1990, and she was raised in Connecticut. She attended college, completed a nursing program, and became a labor and delivery nurse at Massachusetts General Hospital. She then worked as a nurse for about 9 years before she met her husband, Patrick Clancy. Now, they got married in 2016 and moved.
Man, this looked like a normal, happy couple. Like, you never know what people are dealing with. Like, they look so normal, cookie cutter. Both of them look young and vibrant, like they started their career, like they're going to have 4 or 5 kids and just live a middle-class life. You wouldn't think that this person would be dealing with all this. So this is crazy.
To an upper-class community in the great state of Massachusetts. Now, from the trial and all reports, people who knew Lindsay, including her husband, former co-workers, friends, everybody, described her as loving, attentive, and a compassionate nurse.
Did you know that she had a child, Cora?
Yes.
And did you know that she had a child, Dawson?
Yes.
And ultimately that she had a child, a baby that was born very, very recently, Cal.
Mm-hmm.
In the years that you were working with her, were you able to observe, I mean, did she like being a nurse? Did she want to work, or was she a good nurse? What's your opinion?
Lindsay loved being a nurse. She was really good at being a nurse. She was compassionate. She was kind. She was a patient advocate. She was the type of nurse that you wanted taking care of you or your loved one when you walked onto our unit.
They said that she was also a loving mother. According to her husband, Patrick, Lindsay had...
Dang, so all the marks are good about this person except this one situation. So this postpartum thing must affect different people differently, because I don't know too much about postpartum. So I don't want to talk about it in a way as if I know something about it. All I do know is I wouldn't want my child to be harmed if a woman is going through postpartum. I would want to figure out a way that we can deal with your postpartum and keep the kids safe if that's what's going on. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, here we go.
Never been violent with the children, and there was never any history of abusing the children or any signs of mistreatment. The family was also financially secure, had extended family support, used a daycare. At one point, there was even a nanny. There was no custody dispute, no secret affair, no financial crisis, absolutely no motive for killing the children. Now, Lindsay reported to professionals that after becoming a mother, she started having anxiety about going back to work. After her first 2 children were born, she returned to work only part-time. And after her 3rd child was born, she didn't return to work at all. By the fall of 2022, Lindsay had spoken to medical professionals and was getting treatment for anxiety and severe insomnia. She couldn't sleep for days. Here's her husband at the time, Patrick Clancy, explaining it.
On November 16th, 2022, did Lindsay visit South Shore Hospital?
Yes.
Okay. And why did she go to the South Shore Hospital that day?
I believe that day it was because she basically went 48 hours without sleeping.
And was she having heart palpitations?
I think so, yeah.
Now, according to her husband, Patrick, she physically started looking differently. She had lost a tremendous amount of weight, appeared deeply depressed, struggled to eat anything, and sometimes went days without sleeping. On one occasion, the insomnia got so bad that Lindsay drove herself to the emergency room where she got sleeping medication. Now,
Dang, so she was taking some steps And she was dealing with all that. She was taking steps to try to deal with it. So, ladies, we really need y'all in the chat chatting about how do you deal with postpartum. And I still don't think you should go free. I think if you dealt with that and you end someone's life, then it may be a mental institution to treat her or whatever else, but you don't get to go free. You can't break one of the commandments and get to go free under the guise of this or that. Even if you temporarily insane, even if you whatever, then we're going to take you to one of the mental hospitals and we're going to make sure that you can be around people again without voices telling you and commanding you what to do.
The next 4 months, doctors started prescribing a long list of psychiatric drugs to Lindsay.
Was she prescribed buspirone, otherwise known as Vanspar?
Yes.
About Wellbutrin?
Yes.
Hydroxyzine. What is hydroxyzine?
It can be used for a number of reasons, but for psychiatric purposes, it's often used as an anti-anxiety medication.
And Klonopin?
Yes.
And then lamotrigine?
Yep, lamotrigine.
Lamotrigine.
Goodness gracious. Did they give a tranquilizer juice too? God, this thing. Good day. She on like 6. They might need to say the drugs made her do it. What's the side effect of all this gargalactazine and tromethazine and gargalactazine? What's all the side effects? If you give someone that much medication, did she not take it that day? Like, God, you give somebody that much medication that's supposed to help them deal with whatever they're dealing with, but it don't help them and they do something that they wasn't supposed to do. They unalive somebody. Could it be put on the medicine? Like, is she on some more medicine? Let's see. Goodness gracious.
Sorry. And then we talked about Prozac. That's an SSRI, correct?
Correct.
And what's Remeron?
Also an antidepressant.
She was also prescribed Seroquel, amitriptyline.
Yes.
And Ambien, correct?
Correct.
And Zolpidem.
Yep, Zolpidem is the generic name of Ambien.
It's an awful lot of drugs to be prescribed in 4 months, isn't it?
Now,
Man, I'm surprised this woman ain't a zombie. You get prescribed that many drugs in 1 week. Chat, we got to run it back, chat. No, this is not a live. This is a pre-record, but we got to run this back. We got to run this back. We got to count how many drugs that is. And I might mess up, but I need y'all help in the chat. Count how many drugs they say this lady on now. Come on now, let's do this.
Was she prescribed buspirone, otherwise known as Vanspar?
Yes.
About Wellbutrin?
Yes.
Hydroxyzine. What is hydroxyzine?
It can be used for a number of reasons, but for psychiatric purposes, it's often used as an anti-anxiety medication.
And Klonopin?
Yes.
And then lamotrigine?
Yep, lamotrigine.
Lamotrigine, sorry. And then we talked about Prozac. That's an SSRI, correct?
Correct.
And what's Remeron?
Also an antidepressant.
She was also prescribed Seroquel, amitriptyline.
Yes.
And Ambien, correct?
Correct.
And Zolpidem.
Yep, Zolpidem is the generic name of Ambien.
It's an awful lot of drugs to be prescribed in 4 months, isn't it?
Now, these drugs.
Holy majority. I got 11. What y'all get in the chat? I'm going to give y'all time in the chat to tell me what y'all got. I got 11 different drugs. This lady was a zombie. Y'all ladies are supporting a zombie. She was a weekend at Bernie's. She was high, dog. I counted 11 drugs. Ambien, that's a drug. I got 11. What y'all get? I'm gonna see in the chat. You got 5, you got 6, you got 3, you dumb. You got 1, slow as hell. But you got this, you got, see, I don't know what y'all got because right now this is a pre-record. But if you got 11, you right. No, I don't know. That's just what I got. So if you got 11, then you're in agreement with me. If you got a number down 1 or up 1, we'll see what the chat say. We'll have a poll in the chat. And I don't know how to do no dang on poll, but we'll just talk about it in the chat. All right, let's keep going.
Were taken over the course of 4 months, and I need to make 2 critical distinctions. Number one, all of these medications weren't taken at the same time, and some of these medications weren't taken at all, as the prosecutor mentioned here.
You know that many of those drugs she took a very small amount of. Some she didn't take any pills at all.
I was not aware of that.
For Bustlife, which is one of the ones he mentioned, were you aware the first prescription she only took 2 pills out of that bottle?
I was not aware.
Were you aware the second prescription a month or so later for Bustlife she took 0 pills out of that bottle?
I was not aware.
All right, give me a quick second to pay a bill.
I stand corrected. She was not drugged up. she did not take the medication. So this could have been the reason why that she continued on, may have been listening to the thoughts in her head because of the antidepressant drugs that they prescribed her. She did not take them. You can't treat somebody for something if you don't take the treatment. It's like she was seeking help, but why seek help but don't actually follow through on the help that you got? It's weird. I don't know if this was her just trying to find an alibi. I don't know. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Was her doing all this, getting the treatment, getting all this so they can detail this out so that she can have a mental excuse? Because this seemed like planning at this point. You go get all these drugs, you take the time to say, hey, something's wrong, and then you're not going to take the drugs as prescribed? Why? Why even go through all that in the first place then? I'm just saying. Not saying that, it wasn't any postpartum at play, because I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to offend nobody, but at the end of the day, some kids lost their life, and you got to go over this with a fine-tooth comb. It ain't about the group. It's about the truth.
She even told her husband that she was experiencing intrusive thoughts involving harming the children.
Going back to that first part, she said she had thoughts of harming the kids. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And did she tell you whether or not she had specific thoughts of how she would harm the kids?
No.
Okay, now, she would have never got left alone with the kids. I would have moved my mother-in-law in. I would have found a nanny or somebody. Sir, you got to protect your kids. Not to blame it on you. I do not want to sound insensitive because someone lost their life. But if my kid's mother would have told me something like that, she is never going to be alone with my kids again. If there was something needed at the store, you going to get it. I'm going to sit here with the kids. If we're both at the house, I'm not leaving to go to the store. I don't have a problem with the kids. You go on to the store and go and get all the stuff they need. Cough syrup, whatever. I'll be right here. And then at nighttime, me and the kids sleeping in the room together. We're going to help you get over this postpartum, because I'm going to put a dresser in front of the door. Lock the door, put a dresser in front of the door, and you can have a postpartum in the other room while me and the kids in the main bedroom. You moving into the kids' room. I'm going to do something to help because I want to stick with my wife. But at the end of the day, I got to protect my children. So that's going to be what I would try to do. Otherwise, I got to leave with the kids. I'm sorry.
And she didn't describe that as hearing this external voice telling her to harm the kids, correct?
Correct.
She told you she was having intrusive thoughts herself of harming the children, correct?
Correct. I said, do you find it disturbing? And she said yes. And she described it as, really the way she was describing it as something that might happen to the kids.
So it was more something might happen than she might do something. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Patrick was concerned enough to even ask his wife if she believed that she needed to be separated from the kids, and she told him no. Now, things were going so bad that on January 1st, 2023, Lindsay checked herself into a psychiatric hospital for inpatient psychiatric treatment. Now, on January...
Homeboy. After she told you she having thoughts of hurting her kids, and she checked herself into the crazy house, and you still left her alone with those kids. I'm not trying to blame anybody, and I'm not going to blame anybody because I'm not insensitive like that. But at the same time, I'm just giving my opinion on if I was in this scenario, what I would do. And I think I would have elected to protect my children and try to help my wife. I would have been making sure, here go that pill you went and got, boop, boop. Here go that other pill you went and got, boop, boop. Here go, I've been, boop, boop. All them 11 pills would have been, boop, boop, in that mouth. Here go, boop, boop. I'd have been prescribing the pills to her, keeping her separated. You go to the store, yeah, I love you, boo. But you ain't been around these kids by yourself. Hell no, I take a leave of absence from the job. They got to understand, my wife got postpartum. This is crazy. This is a crazy story.
5th, she was discharged from the hospital. Now, Lindsay's husband, Patrick, said her condition actually improved after the hospital stay. They went on family outings and things started becoming normal again. He even felt comfortable leaving her alone with the children, even though she had reported having these feelings in the past. Now, we're going to fast forward to approximately 3 weeks later on January 24th, 2023. In the morning, Lindsay woke up and took a 5-year-old to a routine pediatric appointment. The doctor actually testified that everything looked fine when he examined the child. After the doctor's visit, she then returned home and played with the kids in the snow. At 4 o'clock that day, Lindsay searched online for children's Miralax. Then about 10 minutes later, she searched for takeout at a local restaurant. Then about 30 minutes after that, she called a local CVS to find out if they had specific children's medication. Then approximately 5 minutes after that, she then texted her husband, Patrick, and asked him to pick up dinner. Now, Patrick left the house at about 5:15 and drove to the CVS first and then went to a restaurant. All of this was caught on video surveillance. Now, Patrick was gone for roughly about 50 minutes, and when he returned, he found something very disturbing. Lindsay had killed all 3 of their children by strangulation.
Goodness gracious. Golly. My condolences to the family. My condolences to the husband that lost all the 3 of those innocent children. Golly, that's crazy. To go to the store and come back and your whole life just changed from leaving to the store. And I know it probably played over in his head again. Dang, I should have never left her alone with them kids. But his whole life has changed. He has 0 children right now, and he has 0 wife. His wife is on trial for her life. So right now, this man is back at square one. No kids, no wife. Face and name all in the news. His whole life has changed. So, man, this is crazy. This is a weird, crazy story because it's almost like I want to say just you a rotten person for doing this to a kid, but I don't understand postpartum depression enough. But I still know that someone should not go free for doing something like this. So it's an unfortunate situation. But I do not get the ladies doing what they're doing right now. I don't get this. It's an unfortunate thing, not something to rally around.
And Lindsay cut her own wrist, neck, and then jumped out a 2nd-story window. Now, the children did not survive the encounter, but Lindsay did with severe spinal injuries, and she now remains paralyzed from the waist down. Here is local news coverage at the time the bodies were discovered.
A horrific story is unfolding tonight at a home in Duxbury. Investigators say 2 children are dead and an infant is in the hospital. The DA also saying their mother jumped out of a window. Now, she survived, but police say she was trying to end her own life.
Investigators say a 5-year-old girl and 3-year-old boy are dead, and an 8-month-old baby is in a Boston hospital. Their mother is in a South Shore hospital after apparently jumping from a window. The DA says a man who lives in the home, presumably the father, got home shortly after 6 p.m. and discovered the woman first.
So now, with these facts, prosecutors charge Lindsay with 1st-degree murder.
This morning, an arrest warrant is issued for Duxbury mother accused of killing her 2 children and sending her 8-month-old baby boy to the hospital.
The Plymouth County DA says Lindsay Clancy will be charged with 2 counts of homicide, 3 counts of strangulation, and 3 counts of assault and battery with a deadly weapon.
Okay, so this is where we come full circle. Earlier, we discussed the difference between the mens rea, guilty mind, and the actus reus, the criminal act. And in this case, no one disputes the fact that Lindsay killed her children. So as to the actus reus, it's been satisfied, and there's really no argument about that. But now, as to the mens rea, the guilty mind, the government has to prove that Lindsay intentionally killed these children beyond a reasonable doubt. So the prosecutors say Lindsay was mentally ill, but she wasn't psychotic and understood that killing the children were wrong. And the prosecutors say they have evidence that this was premeditated. The first thing they point to is Lindsay's internet searches. During those searches, she looked at how long it would take someone to go pick up dinner, to go to CVS. And after figuring out those travel times, she sent her husband, Patrick.
Oh, so it's like she sent him out on a mission so she could do whatever she want to do. Oh, that's crazy, B. If she searched the travel times, then that might debunk this whole thing of, oh, it's postpartum. And now that might make sense on why she went and got the antidepressant drugs, checked herself in the hospital, doing all these things. And then now they're making it political. It seems like there's something deeper with this story because it's like all over now. All the women are talking about this thing. And I just don't, it seems like it's deeper than rap. Tell me in the chat what y'all think.
to go pick those things up. They say this is evidence of planning and organized thinking. They also say that her husband Patrick says that Lindsay never reported hearing voices or appeared disconnected from reality. Prosecutors also say when you look at Lindsay's journals and medical records, there was no documentation of hallucinations or delusions before the killings. And their position is that Lindsay made a conscious and calculated decision, and that intent satisfies the mens rea for the crime of murder in the first degree. Now, again, prosecutors admit that Lindsay was mentally ill, but they say the evidence shows beyond a reasonable doubt that she knew what she was doing when she did it.
And when she woke in the hospital, and she knew she was alive and the kids weren't, she knew what she did was wrong. She said she felt horrified. And then, while still with a tube in her throat, she's asking, do I have a lawyer? Do I have a lawyer? Because she knows what she did was wrong. And then we get.
No, that's crazy. That's wild. That you asked for an attorney and you're supposed to be mentally out of it. But you knew to ask for an attorney, though. You didn't ask for where your babies are. You didn't say, oh, no, I can't believe it. I succumb to the voices in my head. No remorse is, oh, shoot, do I got a lawyer? Now that I made it, do I got a lawyer? You're worried about your own behind. You would think now that the voices still talking to you or something? Because how are you not now after you woke up not saying, I can't believe this happened? First thing you say is attorney? That's wild.
The justification, the excuse of the voice. The voice doesn't make sense. The first is she immediately obeyed it. Dr. Resnick, their expert, the one who knows everything about postpartum psychosis. He teaches other psychiatrists and psychologists. He writes books and chapters and articles about how this is a huge red flag if someone immediately obeys a voice. Clancy gives his voice one time and does it. Doesn't try to lock herself in the bathroom, call Patrick, call 911. Doesn't try to leave. Leaving little children alone for 20, 30 minutes, not the greatest option, but it's better than killing them.
Now, the defense obviously argues that Lindsay is suffering from postpartum psychosis, a severe mental illness, which includes hallucinations, thoughts of self-harm, anxiety, depression, and intrusive thoughts. And the defense's argument is extremely simple. This woman was a caretaker. She was a nurse. She has absolutely no history of violence toward others or any hostility toward her children. And let me be clear, we're talking about every single person that interacted with Lindsay. We're talking about her in-laws. We're talking about her.
Yeah, that is interesting that this woman had no prior history of violence towards anyone. And then, boom, you're a mass unaliver. Golly, you're a serial unaliver. In one outing with no prior history. It gotta be something to that. I don't know. I'm kind of torn. It's like, dang, it gotta be something to that. You just out of nowhere do this. You can't think that you're gonna have a good life after this. I don't know. Hopefully y'all in the chat debating and going back and forth so I could jump in the chat, debate and go back and forth too. Tell me what y'all think in this chat. Turn up, baby.
Husband. We're talking about her friends, family, co-workers. There was not one person who said Lindsay showed any signs of violence before this particular incident. And then even when she felt that she had some issues, she let her husband know. She went to a doctor's office. She checked herself into a hospital. And those doctors prescribed her multiple amounts of these different psychiatric drugs. And we're supposed to believe that a woman who had absolutely no history of any type of violence against anyone, all of a sudden in one day plans to kill her children, send her husband away on errands that make no sense, and then try to kill herself. And the thing that hurts the prosecution's case the most is the fact that there's absolutely no motive. They were upper middle class. They had no financial issues. There's no evidence of anyone cheating on anyone. And after looking at everything, there is absolutely no rational motive why Lindsay would want the children dead.
Because remember the government's opening when they told you she wasn't suffering from the psychosis. She was a woman that didn't want to live a life anymore, wasn't happy being a mother, didn't want to live that life. So she's going to kill her kids and hopefully throw herself out the window and not paralyze herself, and then she could run off into the sunset, I guess. That's what their theory was, along with the fact that it wasn't a real good suicide, it was fake. Well, now we know. She's looking this stuff up in between taking care of the family, in between all of the stuff that was going on with visiting doctors, seeing doctors, going to Rhode Island, being told, no, we can't help you, calling a suicide hotline, we can't help you, calling another Suicide hotline, we can't help you. My God, what does she have to do? She was reaching out for help, and she was not getting it. She turns herself in to McLean Hospital. You saw the doctor, nice one. She's testifying. She didn't know. I suggest to you that she didn't know how to do anything, let alone psychosis involving a young lady like her going through what she was going through.
I understand all that. I hear all that, but why not take the pills then? That's the only thing I don't understand. Why not take the pills? If this is what you're saying, is that you are dealing with all this suppression, and then you don't take the pills, so it's kind of hard, man. It's you got to do everything possible to save your kid's life. So I don't think she did everything possible. So at the very least, maybe it's not first degree, but she definitely going to the mental hospital.
Young lady is not guilty of the killing of her children because she was suffering from a disease and defect, as His Honor instructed you.
So the jury's going to have to decide if this was an intentional killing by someone who understood what they were doing, or if this is someone who was suffering from a mental illness at the time and did not understand what they were doing. Now, before you start thinking about whether she's guilty or not guilty, or even if you've already come to your own conclusion, I also want you to consider this. Let's say Lindsay is found not guilty because of mental disease or defect. That doesn't mean she goes home. That means she goes to a mental institution and is likely going to spend decades in that institution. For instance, Andrea Yates, who drowned her 5 children back in 2001, she was found not guilty by reason of insanity, and she is still, to this day, in the mental institution after 25 years.
Mr. Foreman, has the jury reached a verdict in each case?
A different outcome.
We, the jury, find the defendant Andrea P. Yates not guilty by reason of insanity. Signed, Todd Christopher Frank, foreman of the jury.
This time, the jury sided with the defense. Instead of prison, Yates was committed to a state mental hospital where she remains under court supervision.
So as you see, either way, Lindsay is going to be locked up. Either she's going to go to a jail.
Well, that might be what fit this young lady, is that she has to go to a mental hospital and be evaluated and get meds, which will probably be a lot easier for her than prison. But who knows, man? Y'all, I hope y'all are in the chat chopping it up, saying what y'all would have done, what y'all think about this. Do the women that support this have an opinion or a point? I may go live about this again because I want to interact with people live and get because this thing has been big. And the women that's been rallying with the shirts, do y'all agree? Would y'all wear these pink shirts outside of a courthouse? Let me know. But for right now, y'all hit that like button if you haven't hit it already. I'm up out of this thing. I'm gone.